Hi, I'm Josh, and today we're going to be taking the twist throttle off of our Coleman CT200u mini bike and replacing it with a new thumb throttle. Now, I got a couple different reasons for wanting to swap out the twist throttle. The first of which is probably best illustrated by this big old rip on the seat here. What happens is you grab a hold of this thing while you're trying to start it. It's just instinct, and you end up twisting on the throttle and your bike takes off on you. It's not the best system. Throwed this thing on its side a couple times doing that. It's a rookie mistake and something I ought to know better, but I still do it, and we're trying to avoid that whole mishap. The other reason is this twisted set of forks right here. That forks on the bike is actually a new set I had to order from the factory. What happened was last summer a friend of mine named Jenny got on my bike at a barbecue we were having out here, and she got on the bike and gave it the throttle and gave it all the throttle and went right into a tree. Ended up breaking her wrist. She got hurt pretty bad. So, and that's one of the problems with this throttle is the way I've got it set up down here. This is the return spring for that came with the Predator, and this is the push spring that came with the Hyson engine. Now I'll put both of them on there because when you tear the governor out of these things, sometimes you have trouble getting the throttle to close all the way. So I figured more springs is better. The problem with that is, when you twist this throttle, it's all or nothing. It starts off with nothing, 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 and then it has everything. So what we might do when we swap out to the thumb throttle is shorten this spring a little bit and maybe make it less stiff so you get a little better, grade on your throttle rather than all or nothing. All right, so here's the thumb throttle and the new brake lever we're gonna put on there because I stripped out the old brake lever whenever I put the new forks on. The bracket there is kind of threaded instead of just having a bolt. I always like thumb throttles. They just feel a little more natural to me. My first ATV was a little Honda 50 my dad got me when I was like 5 years old. It had a thumb throttle. Every four-wheeler I've ever had or ran on was had a thumb throttle. A little safer. I don't like holding on to this bike by the gas pedal all the time, you know what I mean? You slip, you hit a bump, it's easy to go nuts on that thing, and this seems like it'll give us a little more control over the bike. These handlebars, if you didn't know already, are 7/8 inch steel tubing, so when you order things like thumb throttles and brake levers, make sure you get 7/8. All right, step one is just going to be getting the old original equipment off. For this, you'll need a 5/16 socket and a Phillips head screwdriver. Throttle comes off pretty easy. Once it's loosened up, it should pop right off. Oh, come on, almost. There we go. All right. You want to keep it in one piece just in case this doesn't work and we end up having to go back to the old system. Your brake lever, the stock brake lever, just comes off with a 5/16 socket. Pretty simple stuff. Now the hard part's going to be getting this thing off. And I'll not subject you to 15 minutes of me cussing and struggling with a flathead screwdriver just trying to get that sucker off. So we'll be back in a few. Well, that was a pain in the butt as predicted, but as I told that hand grip, I wasn't asking. All right, now you're going to be better off trying to put this brake cable and hook it back up. Well, it's already off the bike. Let's see. I don't know if we can reach. It's gonna be tricky. That ain't gonna work. And this brake lever on is gonna require some strange acrobatic solutions, but keep at it. Don't worry, you'll get it in there. Ha! Outsmarted basic hardware once yet again. Anytime I'm putting something back on that I don't want to come off again, I am a firm believer in thread lock. Ooh, that's a bit much, but that'll do. We probably don't have to worry about it coming loose, but I'd rather worry not at all. Now, after a lot of cussing and stretching, we were able to reuse the same brake cable and got it all rigged up the way it should be. But the throttle is going to be a little bit different, so we are going to use a different throttle cable. And the thumb throttle I ordered off of Amazon just happened to come with its own throttle cable. So we're going to try it out and give it a day in court. All right. This cable came with the thumb throttle, probably a better one anyway. It's got a little welded barrel on the end of the cable, which the stock doesn't. That's one thing I always worry about, is this bolt popping loose or that popping loose and it just pulling through. With that, you wouldn't have to worry about it. So, making her safe. To unhook our old throttle, all we need to do is get in there with a Phillips screwdriver and take out this bracket, which holds your throttle cable in place. Set that aside and don't lose it. And you don't even need to take this out. This little drum right here that holds the throttle wire, you can feel it let go. There we go. And we're going to save this push spring as a return, although we're probably going to clip a couple links off of it because it's way too stiff as is, but we're not there yet. Okay, this new thumb throttle looks to be held together by a couple of screws, which we're going to take out real quick. Maybe not so quick. Set them aside and don't lose them. Okay, it looks like the drum on this thing goes in that little bracket right there. Let's turn it around so it's facing the right way. Maybe? Oh, there we go. And that slots into right there. So that gives you that nice, well, maybe. Ah, there we go. Yeah, see, there's your full range of motion with the throttle wire. This little screw on the back, you can adjust that to where you could, it works like a throttle idle screw. You know, you could, if you didn't want it to have all the throttle, which you might, sissy. All right, now that we got our thumb throttle all hooked up and working properly, see that? We just need to hook it back up. Now we're gonna need this bracket that we started off with and kind of pinch the metal part of that drum underneath that bracket, just lock it in place there. This Predator engine has a bolt welded on the underside of this bracket, so it shouldn't be too hard. Just kind of tighten it up with a screwdriver once you get it finger tight. Make sure it's not coming out of there. All right, let's test it out here. Hey, looking good so far. All right, now we just have to feed this little barrel. Oh, let's put that push spring on there. This thing. We are going to trim a couple links off of it. Let's see. Looks like a good place. I got a better tool for this, I'm sure. There we go. All right. Let's trim like 3 links off of it. Maybe. That sucker does not want to go. Huh. Well, I'll be back when I find something to cut that with. It's the 10 snips for you, coily. What? No wonder that spring was so damn stiff. This thing's indestructible. My God. They make these things out of weapons grade titanium. There we go, Jesus. Beaten by a spring. All right, now that we've trimmed down that throttle return spring, just got to feed this barrel through this other barrel. Whoop, we appear to have lost our nut. Ah, that doesn't want to go. Huh, I'm gonna have to take that off there and play with it. Oh, it's a heartbreaker, but that little barrel on the end of the throttle cable just will not go through that drum, so as much as I hate to do it, off she goes. That's a shame. Really liked having that extra layer of not gonna fly off. Come on, you sucker. Jesus. I can't cut nothing today. All right, that's ugly, but it'll work. All right, well, that was a pain in the butt, but it appears we've got this throttle working the way we want. Let's check the thumb throttle. It still seems like it's not closing all the way, and that makes me a little bit nervous. I just have to break it in a little bit. Oh well, fortune favors the bold. Let's put the stuff back on. All right, we got our thumb throttle and our new brake lever on there about where we want them. We'll use these new Scott grips we got to figure out about where they ought to be and hop on it and see what feels right as far as position to put these things. Okay, we've got all our hardware reattached, our grips back on where they ought to be. Let's check the throttle here. Opening and closing just like it should. Let's check our brake lever. Pulling on the drum just like it should. All right, well, we're gonna strap on the chest cam and take this thing for a test ride and try out the new throttle. It'll either kill us or be mildly entertaining. Maybe both. Brakes work fine. Everything seems to work. So yeah, the new brake lever and the new thumb throttle both work great. I love that thumb throttle, but my only real complaint about it is just from muscle memory, I catch myself trying to still twist the twist throttle. So it'll take a while to get used to, but yeah, I think I'm gonna like that much better. And that'll be all we do today. Another successful upgrade of the mini bike.